welcome back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy. I have something going on with my right eye, so no eye makeup today. But that didn't stop us from reading, so let's get to that. First, I read Heaven Is Here, Incredible Story of Hope, Triumph, and Everyday Joy, a Memoir by Stephanie Nielson. You guys may be familiar with her as Nene's Dialogues. And this is an incredible story. She almost had what one could call perfect growing up years, a perfect marriage. Not that there were challenges, but she really did marry a Prince Charming. 8 years into that marriage and 4 children, her husband decided to get his small plane license, and he did. And he and a close friend who was also his flight instructor and Stephanie went over to New Mexico to visit family ranch there. And on the way back, sadly, that plane went down. And the friend sadly died. And her husband had 50% burns over his body, and Stephanie had 80%. Can't even imagine. But they both survived, and not only survived, managed to learn how to thrive again. This is such an amazing story, and I'm glad I finally read it in full. If you want to see how Stephanie's doing these days, she is still running Nene's Dialogues, and it's great. She just tells us about her life, which is a wonderful life in spite of occasional challenges. Yeah, after that, I feel like I don't have anything to ever complain about again. After hearing about what she went through. Next, I read The Thursday Murder Club. And this is a mystery book, an interesting one. We have let's see, it's Joyce, that's right. Joyce. She is a fairly new member at a very posh retirement location. And Joyce, she is a retired nurse. And after a few comments, she gets invited to the Thursday Murder Club, led by Elizabeth, who we are not allowed to know what her previous profession was to moving there, although we kind of get the feeling she was MI6. And we also have Ron, former trade union leader and in the center of all labor and other trouble in Great Britain for the past 40 years, no doubt, till his retirement. And there's Ibram. I forget exactly where he is from, but he is a former professor and psychologist. And so they all have these skills, and while none of them can deny they are getting older, that does not mean they are out of the game yet. Thursday Murder Club was actually started by Elizabeth and her friend Penny, who is still alive but is not very conscious. And I started it as an exercise trying to solve cold cases. which is exactly when what the Thursday Murder Club is doing when there's a bit of excitement about expansions to the retirement community, negative excitement, and it ends in a murder. Having a real life murder, of course, the Thursday Murder Club is determined to solve it, whether the police like it or not. Fortunately, they are all pretty smart, and so they're trying, and they mostly to get on the police's good side. So, started out a little bit slow is not quite the right word. Perhaps not entirely connecting, but once you really get to know these characters, you want to just cheer for them and wish them the best in all of these increasingly interesting and potentially dangerous situations they get themselves into. So that is what I finished this week. As for what I am working on, currently reading Whose Body by Dorothy L. Sayers, first Lord Peter Wimsey book. I think she may have published some poetry or essays or something like that before this. This is certainly her first mystery, though, and her first introduction to Lord Peter, who indeed has a butler, or valet, I guess I should say, named Bunter. So, introduction to both of them. They're very reminiscent of Jeeves and Wooster, except that Lord Peter only acts stupid. He is not, in fact, stupid at all. He is, I suspect, often bored, which is why crime is one of his hobbies, the other being collecting rare editions and antique folios and such, which he can afford to do being the second son of a duke. So we are introduced to them. And we have a case. His mother actually first puts him onto it, although he connects with his friend, Inspector Parker, soon enough in the police force. He's working on a case of his own. Lord Peter's case is about a guy who was clearly murdered and left stark naked except these glasses basically on his nose. So how did the body get there? Who is he even? Because it quickly becomes apparent that, well, there was some effort to make him look like one person. He clearly is not that other person. The person he was supposed to be impersonating most likely connects with Inspector Parker's case, who happens to be a man. He happens to be a Jew, large in the financial industry, and he never came home one evening. Or if he did, because was it his housekeeper who said she heard something? Well, he had disappeared by the following morning. So, what is going on with these two cases? This is not Lord Peter's finest case here, or Dorothy L. Sayers' finest work about him. But it is a decent enough introduction. She tones Lord Peter down a bit as she goes forward, which is probably a good thing. And yeah, in spite of it not being the best about him, still a good introduction. You really get a feel for him and for Bunter, and sufficient about his mother, the Dowager Duchess of Denver, to kind of want to have an afternoon tea with her and chat with her. And I will probably read this next, The Cat Who Saved the Library by Sosuke Natsukawa, translated by Louise Hill Kawai. So this is the same author who did the book The Cat Who Saves Books. Now the cat is saving a library. What we know is there's a girl, Nanami Kosaki, loves reading, always in the library, and she is noticing books are starting to go missing. Is trying to figure out what's going on with this when she meets a certain cat who we have met before in the previous book. I know that much, and that is sufficient to be going on with for now. So that, I think, is on the docket for this next week. And we'll see what else I get up to. So here we are, end of November. Love to hear all about your December plans. Of course, I'll be reading some Christmas murder mysteries. I have some Christmas Sherlock books I will probably be taking a look at in my Christmas collection. Exciting times. We'll see how much I get through all of those. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy, and as always, happy reading.